Sarah.
And I'm David, and we're talking about The Amazing Race today. This episode was my worst nightmare. And Sarah was loving every second of it.
Amazing!
Yeah.
Beautiful!
And I was like, no, I don't want to do any of this. First of all, they're in the mountains, so it's freezing cold.
Well, yeah, French Alps.
Yeah, and then everything they have
Gorgeous,
to do is high up. Everything has to do with heights. They're
Yeah.
gonna fall into their deaths at any moment.
Nah. It was amazing.
So they're all starting off at the same time,
Basically,
because
yeah.
they've all landed
all-
on the mat at the same time.
Remember last week?
So they all have to find a car with a license plate, a certain license plate number, and then they have to drive up the mountain to their first.
Yeah. They get a backpack with bread in it. They get on a gondola, which only takes 2 at a time. So some people did have to wait. And they get up to the top of this mountain. And the first thing they have to do is one person from each team has to rope themselves out over to this next mountain, which has the clue.
Oh my God.
Which looked amazing.
Absolutely not. And the only person though who really, well, Zach was a little bit afraid of heights. He wasn't so into it, but Cole was apparently deathly afraid of heights. And so he made his mom Sherry do it, and she basically had a breakdown in the middle of
crying.
it. Yeah.
She's crying going up the gondola. He's crying at the top. She's like
roping and stops in the middle and just cries for like 30 seconds in the middle.
But if you just go and come back, most people were okay. Zach got used to the height. Dana was a little worried about height. She had some problems.
Yeah.
But so then after they get their clue, they now get to choose. Do they want to deliver dynamite and bread to these people over here, or do they want to build a tent? Obviously building is going to take longer, but you have to be able to get, like, you're walking on like the top of a thin cliff.
Yeah.
Basically.
Right.
So you have to be able to conquer your fear.
Your fear of heights, which a lot of people are struggling with. But only one team ends up doing the tent challenge, which is Bernie Burns, right?
Yes.
We sort of recognize this tent thing is going to take a lot longer than this dynamite thing, because literally you just have to crawl, make your way over and hand them dynamite and you're done.
Obviously when you build something, you have to pay attention to details. You can't, did you get it wrong? Like there's just way too much involved in that. I'm surprised that like Sherry and Cole didn't do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised that most people did not do it.
But Bernie Burns said, like, we got to take a risk. We think we're one of the only teams who are going to do this. So this could either be really good for us or really bad for us. It ended up being really bad for them.
It was a calculated risk. They thought it through. They had to build up snowbanks around it and shovel, and that was a little bit more work than they had thought.
Right.
By the time they get done with that, they have fallen to last place.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
They're at the back of the pack with Sherry and Cole and the Clever Girls.
Yes.
It's like the three of them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the front of the pack, it's sort of a neck and neck race again with the Frisbee Gators and Tyler and Korey. Frisbee Gators are out front pretty much the whole time, but Tyler and Korey are right behind them.
Yeah, they're together. They see each other at everything. After you do drop off your dynamite or build your tent, then you go to a next part of the mountain where you paraglide. So like one person, you have to choose who's gonna do it. And the clue was who feels the wind beneath their wings. I pay attention to this stuff because I want to be on The Amazing Race, but I don't ever want to bungee jump or like any sort of free fall. I can't do that. But paragliding or sailing or whatever it's called, all day long.
Which, let me tell you, that makes absolutely no sense. But whatever.
It's
Sarah's
control.
thrilled about
Whatever.
paragliding.
I would have read that clue and said, no, I'm not jumping off of a mountain or whatever. Like, I would have been scared to do that one.
Yeah.
And then I would have felt bad after I missed it. Brody tries it first.
Yep.
And I guess if you didn't step your legs high enough, didn't get enough speed.
And it all depends on which direction the wind is coming from. You don't want a backwind, like blowing your parachute forward. So they have to wait for the right moment and then like book it down the mountain, and then, you know, the parachute catches the wind and then they sail off. But the first time Brody tries it, he face plants into the snow on the mountain.
And then Korey, his guide guy who's with him, is like, okay, now we get to go. And he's like, wait, we get to take a chance to take the lead?
To take over? And
so
he's like, yep.
They make it and they do not face plant and they go off into the wind.
Yes.
And off they go. And Brody's like, oh crap, wait, we just lost the lead.
Yeah. Meanwhile, everyone down at the bottom of the mountain has no idea. They just think, oh, this must be Brody coming in. Like, this is the first paragliding team coming down. So it must be Brody.
Brody.
And then all of a sudden, Korey's like, Tyler! And Tyler freaks out. Nobody knows what happened, you know? Nobody knows how he overtook Brody.
Yeah.
But it was a great
Tyler's like, let's go.
Yeah.
So they like jump and leave, and then Brody, of course, he's not too far behind, but he's like, sorry, whatever.
Yeah, but then Kurt is like, dude, what happened? Like, how did you get in front of you? They're in second place, and he's like, how did this happen? And Brody's like, I'll tell you later, calm down.
It's gonna be a close race between those two teams.
It is, yeah.
Gotta get used to that.
After they finish the paragliding thing, they get back in their car. They just have to drive to the bottom of the mountain, meet Phil at the pit stop at this statue.
Easy day!
Yeah.
No big deal.
Tyler and Korey are first, Brody and Kurt are second, and then the rest of the teams are continuing to battle it out.
Then as we get towards the back of the pack, Sherry and Cole had been struggling, and then Bernie, Burns, and Ashley ended up struggling. So they meet up at the very end, back of the pack.
Yes.
But by the time they get to the paragliding, Aaron is there waiting to go from the Clever Girls.
Right.
So all of a sudden you've got these three, Sherry, Ashley, and Aaron are the
all
three
together.
girls about to do the thing, and they're just there waiting for the win.
Waiting for the win.
And it's at this point it's anybody's game.
Yeah, so it's like whoever runs down first and makes it and takes off, they're the first team out of those three. So they're all on edge, right? Yeah. And it's like, we gotta do this, like we gotta so Ashley
when do we go?
Makes a run for it at the wrong moment and faceplant.
And like Aaron was like, wait, should we go? And the guide's like, no, wrong
it's
win.
It's a back win.
And then they fall. And so then you're like, okay, so Ashley, because then Ashley has to like get up, and they have to like pull the sail or whatever, and like get back into place. So all of a sudden then Sherry gets a chance to go, which was a great shot because they go to the three partners who are waiting, and they don't know which one is which.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, it could be Ashley, it could be Aaron, and Cole's like, it could be Sherry, and they're like, oh yeah, it could be Sherry too.
And then Jocelyn was like, actually I think it's Sherry.
Yeah, I think it's a red coat. And so then it turned out to be Sherry, which was a great moment because those two struggled so much because they were a team that we thought would have done the tent challenge in the detour, but they chose to do the dynamite thing, even though both of them are deathly afraid of heights. They basically cried through the entire thing.
Yes, but they knew it was going to be faster, and they just had to get through it.
Yeah, so then for Sherry to come down and be the first out of those three, that was just a great moment for that team.
And Sherry didn't want to do any of this. She's afraid of heights, but because her son is afraid of heights, she felt she had to power through for him, and that's pretty wonderful.
Yeah, and she did say at the beginning of the episode that she felt like she needed to step up because she felt like Cole had been doing so much so far.
Which I don't agree. I feel like she's been doing stuff this whole time.
Yeah, I don't really see that. But it was great to see her like really take a leadership role on that team.
And that it paid off.
She gets down, and then
they do a great editing moment where they don't show us who gets a running start and who's off first.
You just see the parasail like gliding down.
And the 2 people waiting.
Yeah.
And they're like, which one is it? Which one is it?
We don't know. Yeah. They don't know.
Turns out to be Ashley.
Which, not that we have anything against Bernie Burns.
We love Bernie Burns and Ashley, but I really love the Clever Girls.
They're just so great.
Aaron and Jocelyn make me so happy, and their positive attitudes I love watching them on this race. And so even though it's very exciting for Ashley and Bernie, it was sad that Aaron didn't get off in time.
Yeah. So they ended up in last place.
So that was it. There was no like problems getting to the pit stop or anything. So Bernie Burns and Sherry and Cole were there on the map basically around the same time.
Yeah.
And then Aaron and Jocelyn came in a little bit later.
You know what I did like though was that when Aaron finally landed, she was like, we're in last place, like this is it. And Jocelyn was like, you just never know, like we could still be racing. I just love that attitude because we did not
100%.
We did not see that attitude the week before, so I'm glad that we saw it this week.
That's the way you race.
That's right.
Because you just don't know. Apparently this pit stop was like around the corner.
Yeah.
But had you need to get into a car and you could get lost. Like a million things could happen, and that was the right attitude. First off, Aaron, as she was like parasailing and knew she was in last place, was enjoying every moment of it.
Oh, she was so emotional.
Which I value and appreciate. And then as soon as she landed, Jocelyn was like, let's go, it's still a race.
Yep.
Love it.
And then when they got to the pit stop, Phil was saying, unfortunately you're eliminated. Was there a moment that really stands out to you? And I just love that Aaron's answer was like, that moment, the moment I just had, essentially my losing moment was still the most amazing thing I've ever done. And you know, the thing I'll remember most from the Amazing Race. Like, I love that they just had such a great attitude.
They did.
Yeah.
So we were sorry to see them go, for sure.
We were.
But they went out on a high note in our book.
That's right.
Well, I think our winning moment is like very, very clear.
Yes. This week our winning moment is basically everything Sherry did in this episode.
Right.
She conquered her fears. She took on the burdens for her team from her son, who was like terrified of heights.
Yep.
She showed what a great mom she is.
Yeah, and she also pushed him.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I don't want to do this dynamite thing. Like, I'll cry and whatever. And she was like, but we're going to do it.
And we're going to cry together. I'm going to be crying too. We're going to cry together.
Yep. She knew that that was the better choice.
Yes.
It's going to be faster and that they just needed to power through, and she had to push him to do it.
Yeah, and she just knew that she had to be the rock for that team this week, and she did a great job.
I hope she like got a glass of wine and a good night's sleep after that day. That was a big, big day for her. I feel like our shocking moment is Bernie Burns' choice to do the building of the tent. They did a little backstory explanation, and he said, we wanted to take a risk. We wanted to do something different because they're trying to get ahead of the pack. They've been kind of in the middle. So I give him points for trying to take a risk, but I didn't understand that risk. So I was shocked their choice was to do something that was going to take more time.
Yeah, it was pretty obviously going to take more time, and I think it is obvious based on the fact that every other team did the dynamite thing. Like, everybody recognized we're not going to take more time with this tent building challenge.
Building versus delivering. I think delivering is always going to be quicker.
Yeah. I think when people take a risk, you expect, oh, it's going to be a good result, and this just was not. Like, it put them right at the back of the pack. And you don't expect that from Bernie Burns at this point. They're a really solid team.
Yeah.
Our better get back on track moment.
Last week, we scolded the whole, all the teams. And I feel like this week, we don't really have to scold anybody.
No. We sort of feel like everyone did their best this week. Everyone was fighting and racing the whole time.
Everyone was just like either conquering a fear or enjoying it.
I mean, I think if we had discussed if there were a better get back on track moment, it would probably be for the Clever Girls, but they got eliminated, so they can't get back on track. So
yeah, there was a time where they were sort of looking around for a lunch, but if they had read their clue, they'd realize they didn't need to be. So yeah, that probably put them back a little bit. They got eliminated, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I have to say, overall, this was a rough week for me between Caleb leaving Survivor and the Clever Girls leaving this.
And it was a rough week for me watching all of those height challenges on The Amazing Race. I was so stressed out the entire episode.
Oh, he so was. And I was like, beautiful.
I was like, I'm out. Nope.
What do you guys think? First off, would you want to parasail over the French Alps or not?
No. And click subscribe if you like this video, and then we'll be back next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.